My friends, tonight I want to share with you something that will completely revolutionize your relationship with money. But first, let me ask you this. How long have you been chasing financial security? How many years have you struggled, worried, strained, and lived in fear, living life like a desperate beggar, rather than recognizing your true divine inheritance? What if I told you that tonight your struggle ends? What if I told you that before this evening is over, you will learn one powerful sentence, a sacred decree that has the divine power to shift your entire financial consciousness and allow money to find you effortlessly? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you is not theory. It's the very law by which this universe operates. You see, my friends, money is not meant to be chased. Money is meant to respond to your spoken word, your clear assumption, your consciousness of already being the person you wish to be. Your word is law in your world, and the universe, which is nothing more than your own wonderful imagination, pushed out, listens closely, waiting for the exact moment when your consciousness issues a clear and uncompromising decree. Money, in its truest sense, is simply consciousness made manifest. It is obedient spiritual substance that moves according to your assumptions. Up until now, you may have unknowingly held assumptions of scarcity, limitation, or delay, wondering why abundance seems to avoid you. But tonight, that misunderstanding is permanently corrected. Tonight, you will learn the one sentence that instructs your own infinite imagination, the divine intelligence of your consciousness, to open every hidden doorway of abundance. Tonight, you shift your financial destiny. Money will no longer evade you. It will seek you out, find you, follow you, and flow to you effortlessly and ceaselessly. You will no longer live in financial anxiety. You will live in divine certainty. Because when you learn to speak correctly, when you learn to assume correctly, you will understand clearly and completely that wealth is not accidental, it is consciousness. Wealth is not hard-won, it is spiritually assumed. And tonight, your imagination becomes the divine instrument that releases your inheritance. Prepare your consciousness. Quiet your doubt. You have arrived at the turning point. And from this moment forward, your financial life will never be the same again. The universe, my friends, is not ruled by luck. It is ruled by law. Precise, immutable, divine law. And among the highest of these is the law of assumption expressed through the spoken word. From the beginning, consciousness created everything. Let there be light, and there was light. The word was not a suggestion. It was not a hope. It was an assumption crystallized into manifestation. And that same divine authority has been given to you. Your voice is not decoration. It is creative force. Every word you speak carries the vibration of your assumption, and every assumption issues instruction to the substance of your consciousness. When you speak from the feeling of lack, that lack becomes your experience. When you speak from the assumption of abundance, abundance becomes your reality. So when I tell you that a single sentence can bring money to you, I speak not from fantasy, but from eternal law. The scripture declares, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." It does not say you must understand it, or earn it, or deserve it. It says you must decree it, you must assume it to be true. To decree means to issue a spiritual verdict, a final assumption. It is spoken from the consciousness of already being what you desire to be, not from the beggar consciousness of wanting what you don't have. Most people, when it comes to money, speak like beggars. They ask, plead, worry, and wonder, but they do not assume. They say, "I hope I can afford it," or "I'm always broke," or "money just doesn't come easily to me." And so the law of consciousness, being perfectly obedient, fulfills those exact assumptions. You see, the spoken word is not metaphorical. It's mechanical. It sets law into motion. It places the machinery of manifestation into movement. It opens or closes the gates of supply according to the assumption behind it. Money does not move based on emotion or struggle. It moves according to consciousness, according to assumption. And the clearest way to shift that assumption is through bold, rhythmic, feeling-toned speech that comes from the end, from already being the prosperous person you desire to be. There is no neutrality in assumption. Every thought is a cause, every feeling is a command, and most people are assuming poverty with their daily mental diet. This is too expensive, they say. I never have enough, they sigh. And then they wonder why money seems to hide. But the one who understands law knows that money is not scarce. It is not cruel. It is not hiding. It is simply waiting for a clear assumption from a consciousness aligned with abundance. Let this truth penetrate your very being. Money is not attracted by effort. It is attracted by assumption. And that assumption is expressed not through stress, but through the feeling of already having what you desire, crystallized in speech. When you begin to speak as one who already possesses what you seek, everything in your consciousness begins to shift. Opportunities appear, resources manifest, doors that were locked swing wide, not because you hustled, but because you assumed, because you spoke from the end. Do not underestimate the power of words spoken from the right consciousness. The right sentence spoken from the feeling of the wish fulfilled, with rhythmic repetition, with unwavering assumption, can undo a lifetime of financial limitation. It can uproot generations of poverty thinking. It can rewire the subconscious patterns and instruct your divine imagination to manifest money swiftly, generously, and without resistance. This is not positive thinking, my friends. This is not wishful hoping. This is law. The same law that governs the tides, the planets, the seasons. And it does not fail. It does not sleep. It does not argue. It simply fulfills your dominant assumption, whether that assumption is rooted in fear or in faith. The world says you must work harder, try more, figure it out, stay up late, and fight your way forward. But the truth says, speak the word only, and thy servant shall be healed. The truth says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. The truth says your word is your creative power. So what are you doing with that power? Are you speaking as a creator or as a victim? Are you assuming your wealth or lamenting your lack? You cannot speak two languages and expect clarity from consciousness. You cannot assume abundance in the morning and complain about money in the afternoon and expect divine supply to manifest. For law is clear. It responds to your dominant assumption, and your dominant assumption is established by repetition, rhythm, and feeling. You must choose today to become disciplined in speech, not casual, not reactive, but deliberate, bold, and feeling-toned. Because your life reflects your assumptions, and your assumptions are crystallized through your language. If your bank account is in disorder, examine your mental conversations. If your debts multiply, check your assumptions. If your needs always outweigh your income, look not to the economy. Look to your consciousness. Look to your tongue. For your imagination is the gateway through which divine supply either flows or is blocked. When you speak from fear, you activate the law of assumption in reverse. You assume lack, and lack becomes your experience. You say, I can't afford this, and the law says, as you have assumed, so shall it be. You say it's always something, and the law answers, let it be done according to your assumption. You say, money never stays with me, and so it becomes your experience. The law is not punishing you, it is serving you. But it cannot serve what you refuse to assume. So I instruct you now, from this day forward, you will not allow your consciousness to entertain a single assumption of lack. You will not repeat the world's vocabulary of limitation. You will assume only what you wish to experience. You will speak only what you desire to manifest. For your word is the mold, and divine substance is the material that fills it. If your bank account is in disorder, examine your mental conversations. If your debts multiply, check your assumptions. If your needs always outweigh your income, look not to the economy. Look to your consciousness. Look to your tongue. For your imagination is the gateway through which divine supply either flows or is blocked. When you speak from fear, you activate the law of assumption in reverse. You assume lack, and lack becomes your experience. You say, I can't afford this, and the law says, as you have assumed, so shall it be. You say it's always something, and the law answers, let it be done according to your assumption. You say, money never stays with me, and so it becomes your experience. The law is not punishing you, it is serving you. But it cannot serve what you refuse to assume. So I instruct you now, from this day forward, you will not allow your consciousness to entertain a single assumption of lack. You will not repeat the world's vocabulary of limitation. You will assume only what you wish to experience. You will speak only what you desire to manifest. For your word is the mold, and divine substance is the material that fills it. Every morning, before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, you will speak. Every evening, before you lay your head down, you will speak. You will speak clearly. You will speak from the feeling of already being provided for. You will speak not as a beggar, but as one who recognizes their divine inheritance. You will speak not as a seeker, but as one who has found. For consciousness is a fountain of life, and today your consciousness becomes a fountain of wealth. Do not wait until you feel rich to speak as the rich speak. Speak it first. The feeling will follow your assumption. Conditions will obey your consciousness. This is the divine order of creation. The word goes first. The spoken assumption creates the invisible pattern. Then and only then does it become visible in your experience. And when you speak, speak with feeling, speak with rhythm, speak with the absolute conviction that what you assume is already established in consciousness. Do not wonder if it's working. Know that it must, because law never fails. So now I ask you, are you ready to speak like one who knows their true identity? Are you ready to issue assumptions of abundance to your consciousness, not from fear, but from divine authority? Are you ready to stop seeking and start being? Then prepare your consciousness, because now I will give you an exact sentence, a spiritual decree tested by time, proven by law, and fulfilled by consciousness. This sentence does not ask for money. It assumes it. It does not beg for supply. It claims it. And when you speak it rhythmically, daily, faithfully, and from the proper feeling, money must find you. The sentence is this: Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. This is not poetic language, my friends. This is spiritual command. This is a living key forged in divine truth. When spoken from the proper consciousness, it moves mountains, dissolves delays, and releases divine provision through channels your rational mind could never predict. You are not speaking to a person. You are not pleading with an institution. You are issuing instruction to infinite consciousness, your source, your supply, the divine presence that orchestrates all visible manifestation. Let us examine this sacred sentence, word by word, so your soul may grasp its depth and your consciousness may assume it with unwavering authority. Infinite Spirit, you begin by addressing the source, not the job, not the bank, not the market. You bypass all limited channels and speak directly to the infinite. For money is not generated by man. It is distributed through man, but it flows from consciousness, from God, from your own wonderful imagination. When you say Infinite Spirit, you are declaring that your faith is not in economy, but in consciousness itself. You recognize that divine intelligence is the origin of all wealth. You return your attention to the storehouse of imagination, not the limitations of the world. Open the way. This is assumption in action, not suggestion. You are instructing divine law to remove all subconscious interference, dissolve every unseen block, and reveal the open door through which your supply flows. This is the law of non-resistance. You are not forcing outcomes. You are removing the assumption of obstacles. You are not pushing. You are assuming the way is already open. And consciousness, being perfect intelligence, knows exactly what channels must manifest. It may be a phone call, a canceled debt, a job offer, a creative idea, but it will be the perfect way, the natural way, the way that unfolds with ease. You do not decide how, you assume that the way is open. For my immediate supply. You do not assume for one day, you do not hope for someday. You assume now, you assume immediacy. Divine delay is never divine denial, but many have assumed vaguely, hoping for eventual provision. No more. You assume your immediate supply, because you know that in consciousness, there is no time. There is only divine order. What is yours exists already in the invisible realm of imagination. The only delay is in your assumption. But now, having assumed lawfully, you claim your supply in this moment. Not rushed, not desperate, but right on divine schedule, which is now. This portion of the sentence sets into motion the spiritual machinery that bypasses limitation, breaks through resistance, and floods your experience with provision. It is the law of assumption, replacing fear with faith. It is the law of manifestation, magnetizing invisible supply into visible form. As you speak these words, know that you are not merely repeating a spiritual formula. You are issuing a divine assumption. You are commanding consciousness to move, the channels to open, and the wealth already assigned to your experience to arrive without delay. You do not merely say this sentence, you assume it. You do not recite it from memory, you speak it from consciousness. You speak it as one who knows, one who no longer wonders, one who no longer doubts, one who has ceased from seeking and begun being. Let all that is mine, by divine right. These are not the possessions of ego, nor the riches of greed. These are not stolen treasures or hurried gains. These are the things that belong to you by spiritual law, already assigned, already prepared, already complete in consciousness. This phrase affirms that you do not steal what belongs to another, nor fear that your good interferes with someone else's blessing. You are not in competition, you are in assumption. When you say by divine right, you are assuming alignment with the highest good for all. You are invoking the law of harmony, blessings that bless everyone involved. There is no guilt in this supply, no confusion, no compromise, only perfect provision manifesting in perfect ways. Now reach me. This is the assumption of magnetic reception. You are not sending your good into the distance. You are assuming it into the now. You are issuing a retrieval command. These words dissolve all imaginary barriers: time, fear, distance, disbelief. They remove the waiting room. They cancel delay. You speak not from lack trying to attract. You speak from law, assuming what is already yours. There is no begging in this consciousness. There is no uncertainty, only confident assumption. In great avalanches of abundance, this final phrase is sacred power. This is consciousness accepting no limitation. You are not assuming pennies or trickles. You are assuming avalanches, not drops but downpours, not portions but floods, not limited help but total overflow. This is the law of abundance in motion. You do not limit consciousness to small answers. You allow yourself to receive on the level of divine surplus. The avalanche metaphor is deliberate. Avalanches are massive, sudden, unstoppable. And that is how your good will appear when you assume this sentence with rhythm and conviction. Not by small, predictable channels, but by surprising, immense, undeniable manifestation. You may wake to news that erases your debt. You may be offered a position you never expected. You may receive a refund, a return, a reward, a release you cannot calculate. You cannot predict the channel, but you must trust the law. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. Speak this sentence daily, morning and night. Speak it when fear rises. Speak it when doubt tries to whisper. Speak it when lack appears to threaten. For this sentence is your spiritual sword. It cuts through appearances and commands divine reality to manifest. Speak it aloud, with rhythm, with breath, with finality. Do not mumble. Do not apologize. You are not a beggar. You are divine consciousness individualized. And let me say this clearly. It is not the sentence alone that brings the supply. It is the consciousness behind the sentence, the assumption of certainty, the inner agreement, the sacred authority of your spoken command. When you speak as one with infinite consciousness, when you issue this sentence as divine decree, when you repeat it faithfully and assumingly, then yes, money must find you. Not because you're lucky, but because you've assumed according to law. Let no one distract you from this truth. Let no thought dilute your assumption. You do not need to manipulate. You do not need to beg. You do not need to force. You need only to assume faithfully, assume rhythmically, assume boldly, and watch what must appear. This is the sentence. This is the key. This is the turning point. Now let us seal this truth deeper by reprogramming your subconscious mind to accept this sentence as your new financial reality. You have now heard the sentence, you have understood its meaning, but until your subconscious mind accepts it as truth, your outer experience will continue to reflect old assumptions. You see, the subconscious is the deep garden of consciousness. It does not respond to logic. It responds to repetition, to emotion, to imagery. It does not argue with you. It does not question your assumptions. It simply accepts what you allow it to assume often enough. This is why you must now take your spoken sentence and plant it deliberately into the fertile ground of your subconscious mind, day by day, night by night. Do not assume once and wonder. Do not whisper it timidly and hope. You must command it rhythmically until it becomes a living assumption in your being. Your subconscious mind has, until now, accepted phrases like, I can't afford it, money is tight, or there's never enough. And so your outer world has obeyed those assumptions. But now you replace those weeds with divine seed. You repeat the sentence, Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply, until your subconscious accepts it not as novelty, but as law, not as a wish, but as assumption. Do this first thing upon waking. Do this last thing before sleep. For in those moments, the subconscious is wide open, receptive, impressionable. Speak the sentence slowly, with feeling, as though you are writing it with fire across the surface of your soul. Imagine money already finding you. Unexpected payments, surprising breakthroughs, joyful overflow. See it, speak it, feel it, and assume it. You must create a rhythm, morning and evening, not 5 times today and never again, not when you feel like it, but with the discipline of one who understands law. Reprogramming is not mystical, it is mechanical. If you give the subconscious a new assumption enough times, it must obey. Do not worry if you don't feel different at first. Assume anyway. Do not stop when the outer world still looks unchanged. Assume anyway. You are assuming through appearances, not to them. You are issuing an assumption that bypasses circumstance and rewrites the invisible blueprint that creates visible results. You may begin to feel strange when assuming it. Good. That means the old programming is cracking. You may feel resistance. Good. That means you're interrupting the old assumption. But assume anyway. Assume through it. Assume until the sentence becomes more familiar than your fear. Now that you have received the truth, you are no longer a seeker. You are an assumer. You are no longer a questioner. You are a commander. And so I now place before you a sacred challenge. Not to test your worthiness, but to activate your assumption. For the next 7 consecutive days, you will speak this sentence, morning and night, without excuse, without doubt, without delay. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. You will say it with breath, you will say it with rhythm, you will say it aloud, not in your head, not in theory, but aloud, where the vibration is sent, where the assumption is activated. Each morning, before the world rushes in, you will pause and speak these words as law. You will declare them not like a beggar asking for mercy, but like consciousness itself issuing command. And each night, before you cross the threshold into sleep, you will speak again, sealing your subconscious with divine supply. This is not a mantra. This is not a charm. This is a lawful assumption spoken daily that will begin to shift consciousness, and consciousness governs experience. What you see today is only the echo of assumptions you've held in the past. If you want new results, new inflows, new money, new manifestations, you must assume a new consciousness. For these 7 days, you are forbidden from assuming lack. You will not say, I'm broke. You will not complain about money. You will not repeat the language of fear, debt, or delay. Your consciousness belongs to abundance now. Your assumptions are the construction crew of heaven, and I make this promise to you, as surely as divine law is exact. If you assume this sentence faithfully for 7 nights and 7 mornings, without contradiction, with reverence and rhythm, something will shift. You may receive a check, a debt forgiven, a job offer, a refund, a creative idea that changes everything. You do not need to know how. You need only to be faithful to the assumption. Do not ask, is it working? That question reveals disbelief. It must work. Law cannot lie. Consciousness does not forget. Your assumption never returns void. You do not assume to make something happen. You assume because it already has in consciousness. Let each day become more confident. Let each night become more surrendered. Let your voice become more aligned, more sure, more rhythmic. And do not just say it. Feel it. Feel the avalanche as you speak it. Picture the floodgates of wealth opening. Hear the sound of money flowing in. Let your whole being agree with your assumption. This challenge is not about money. It is about consciousness. It is about trust. It is about becoming the person who assumes wealth because they have become wealth in vibration. So take this seriously. Treat it as sacred. Write the sentence, carry it, speak it, and record what happens. Because when you assume truth, life rearranges itself to match your assumption. Say aloud now, I accept the 7-day challenge. I commit to assuming this sentence morning and night. I expect divine demonstration, and I trust the law. You have now accepted your role as divine consciousness individualized. You have crossed from doubt to assumption. And now prepare for the return, for what you have assumed is already on its way to you.